Well, in a moment, that big heavyweight contest between James Oyebola and Andrew Gerrard. But before that, John Fashanu lays down his football boots and puts on his gloves. John, terrific to see you here, and what's going to be a tremendous week for you, we hope. Tell us a bit about your boxing background before we go any further.
Oh, that'll take about 2 seconds exactly. I did a little bit of boxing. I was Norfolk and Suffolk, Cambridgeshire schoolboy champion, and then it started to get rough. When somebody hit me back, I didn't really fancy it. You know, it's not my living.
Because Justin did some boxing as well, didn't he?
That's right. Justin was a lot more successful than me. I think he was the ABA finalist twice and lost to the same gentleman consecutively. So, but he was quite good at it. He was quite good at it.
Sounds as if you made the right decision turning to football.
I think so. I think so. I mean, I've seen the guys in there. I mean, that's the macho sport. I couldn't handle that. That's not for me.
And what about your meeting with James Oyebola, a big pal of yours now? How did that come about?
Well, it's quite funny. I met him at the Notting Hill Carnival about 2.5 years ago, and I'd run into a spot of problems with supporters asking for autographs. It just sort of snowballed, and I was really cornered. And he's a gentle giant. He just sort of walked in, and he physically lifted me up and carried me to safety. It was incredible because the guy just didn't know me from Adam, but he saw I was in a lot of problems there, and he just lifted me up and carried me out. And I thought, what a gentleman.
Did you get many cup final tickets for that?
Yeah, 1 or 2, don't worry about that.
But you've followed his career fairly closely since then, have you?
Yes, I have. I like him because he's outside of the ring, he's a gentleman. We can have 1 or 2 conversations about all sorts of subjects, and I get on well with him. I haven't got many close friends, because obviously in our business you don't have time to meet a lot of people. But he lives very near me, and we're very close friends.
What does boxing mean to you now, then? Is it just through James that you're interested, or do you love it anyway?
I like the game, I like the sport, possibly because at the end of the day, I wasn't really strong enough mentally and physically to really take it up. But I like it because I get a buzz watching them, especially the dinner do's. With somebody like James as well, really liking the smell of the change rooms, and I get in the atmosphere. And 1 or 2 other boxing friends I've got, but really James is the #1 guy down here.
You did a bit of sparring, didn't you? I mean,
That's right.
You dismissed your past fairly quickly, but with Curry, I seem to recall.
That's right. He's a strong character. And that took me back a little bit, and that scared me. Also with Errol Christie, who's a very good friend, and Lloyd Hunnigan, the likes of those. So really, I've got a lot of friends in the game, but it's not for me. I just dabble with it. I pretend. That's what I do.
Because some mischievous people think you're a bit of a boxer when it comes to football, don't they?
Oh, you threw that one in, didn't you? You couldn't wait to get that one in.
Fash the bash.
He's all coming out now. Yeah, well, I don't know about that.
Let's talk about Saturday then in Liverpool. What are you going to do to them?
We'll try our hardest. I mean, we've got nothing to lose and an awful lot to gain. They've got an awful lot to lose and not much to gain, because by the bookies and the media, we've already lost. So this is the thing which has really brought Wimbledon up, proving shock results, and we'll try and do it again.
There is some skill in that side, though, isn't there? It's not just a question of hard-working, physical players.
There's an awful lot of skill, but unfortunately the media and the people say Wimbledon can't do this and that they can't do that. Vinnie Jones keeps doing this and John Fashanu can't do that. The people don't say what we can do. It's nice now 1 or 2 people are saying, well, they can do this and they can do that.
Well, if you do it, I guess it means that anybody can do anything. May the better side win anyway, and we're going to hand you over now to Jim Rosenthal in the commentary box. You're going to talk over Oyebola's fight, and who better to do it? This is John's debut, incidentally, in the commentary box, and it's big bad James Oyebola, as I said earlier, against Andrew Gerrard. Let me just tell you a little bit about them. Oyebola's lost only once in 5 fights, but he was on the floor during his last victory at Bethnal Green, and 6'7" on the canvas, you tend to notice that. Andrew Gerrard is coming up to 25. He's from Newport, and he lost to Oyebola last July. 38 fights all over the world he's fought, 11 wins, 24 defeats. It's over now to Jim Rosenthal with Wimbledon's number 9.
Round 2.
Well, John Fashanu, he's such a big fella, James Oyebola, and occasionally in this game it doesn't always work for you being so big and possibly not as mobile as other customers might be.
Well, no, in actual fact it has the adverse effect. Now you can see James is turning his man quite nicely. Turning every time the guy tries to get him in the corner, James is turning it. You can see, he's a very seasoned veteran anyway, the other guy.
Yeah, Andy Gerrard has seen it all. Oh, that was a big left from Gerrard, and those big long legs wobbled of Oyebola. He was a bit open to that one, just dropped his guard, fighting back pretty well, but that will encourage Gerrard. And John, I would think that one hurt him.
Yeah, that was a good strike. BJ certainly showing no pain at all.
Just that frown of concentration from big bad James. Saw him in the London ABAs at the Albert Hall. Fought really well, won that super heavyweight title twice. And opponents like Gerrard are, well, essential really for Oyebola as he learns the tougher sides of this professional game.
Up, James, up.
Bit of a swelling perhaps developing under Oyebola's eye. John.
Looks a certainly experienced gentleman anyway. It's a very awkward customer. Sort of customer who just keeps coming and coming and coming. It's going to be a very good test for both of them, I think.
Well, Gerrard getting through again with a right hand this time, and shouts to Big Bad James to keep those gloves up, and he's got to, because Gerrard just give him a bit of confidence and a bit of leeway, and he can be very effective in there. And now he's starting to fancy the job in no uncertain terms, bringing up the left uppercut too. But Oyebola badly shaken up at the start of the second round, and Gerrard getting a bit of success downstairs too. It's been a tough round for your mate, John.
Yes, it has. It's been a tough one.
And Andy Gerrard, who's all set to fight for the Welsh heavyweight title against Swansea's Chris Jacobs. He, in fact, lost that title to Jacobs at Newport a few years back, in 1985, I think it was, and he's had a good round here, Gerrard. And Oyebola, as with many of Andy Gerrard's opponents, will know he's been in a scrap tomorrow. And there is a definite bump around that left eye of James Oyebola, and I've certainly never seen him marked up like that before. And that won't help him either, just trying to keep the swelling down.
A bit of surface swelling, I think, that there. I think the corner should be able to handle that.
Well, here's when Gerrard had a lot of joy early in the round, and right on the bridge of the nose that was John, and a big snarl, and
yeah,
he said, I got you that time.
Yeah, obviously a crowd pleaser, as you can see, playing to the crowd. Yep, it's great.
And I hope that doesn't get that doesn't worsen that eye, but it's a nasty bump developing.
Second round 4.
Well, James Oyebola, as he comes out for this fourth round, assures me that his godmother, Miss Fawn, is going to be watching in Cotford St Mary's in Wiltshire. Just hope the old Ariel's strong enough to pick us up there.
Oh, he's got a lot of friends all over the country watching him tonight.
And they will watch James Oyebola, who earned his trade in Wiltshire there. Being in the middle of a real scrap, and that was a big stumble from Andy Gerrard. That might well be worth looking at again, because it acted as a terrific spur for Oyebola.
I wasn't sure whether it was a stumble or whether it was actually a puncture. I wasn't sure. He's certainly opening up now, BJ.
Yeah, he is. He is giving it absolutely everything.
Yeah. I think James nearly needs to really close down a little bit and calm down, settle himself down, because the fight's not over. What a strong guy the Welshman is.
Well, he's used to people having a go at him, and he puts those gloves up round his ears and says, you hit me with everything you've got, and I'll come back and show you what I've got. But
yes,
I think that acted as a real injection for James Oyebola, that one. But he threw in a real flurry there, and he might have just punched himself out a bit there, John.
Yes, I think that was a little bit of inexperience showing just there. Hopefully he's got the stamina and the strength to come back. But Andrew's doing very well, and he just keeps coming forward.
Well, the third fellow in there is referee Jack Snipe, and there can't be too much in it in this fourth round of a scheduled 6-rounder. Gerrard, a notoriously slow starter, who said he would have preferred it to be 8 rounds, this one.
I think it's nice to see the referee hasn't had a lot to do tonight. The two gentlemen have made the referee's job very easy tonight.
Yes, they have.
Andrew's starting to get in between BJ's guard again. It's very difficult for a big man to stop a little guy like that coming in between.
doing some good work inside too, Andy Gerrard. He spent quite a amount of time on the ropes just above us, but he was working all the time inside, and he's an awkward fella.
Certainly accomplished boxer, Gerrard. Very good boxer.
And after that perhaps rather rash flurry earlier in the round, James is now breathing just a bit deeply, and I think he'll be glad for the rest.
Yeah. The bell can't come quick enough.
Just looking a bit arm-weary as well there for a moment, James Oyebola. Boxing on the retreat now.
This is an important time now. He's got to keep his guard up. He's got to keep his guard up, especially when you start to feel tired.
Well, in their first fight, which was Oyebola's professional debut, Gerrard gave him a lot of bother, but in this fourth round, Oyebola had a moment where he really injected a lot of pace and a lot of punches after it. And we just have a look at it. Yeah, it looked a little bit like a slip, really, John, didn't it? But it spurred Big Bad James on, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It did. It gave him it was a slip, definite slip.
And the cry comes out from a fairly astute member of the crowd here at Tottenham Baths. Come on, BJ.
Second notes.
He's got an awful lot of support.
Last round.
The last round of what had been a very close heavyweight contest between the taller James Oyebola, 16 stone from Paddington. Just one defeat as a professional. And Andy Gerrard, the durable Welshman, who's going to be 25 later this month, who has underlined his reputation as a very difficult customer and a very durable survivor. And there's very little in it at this stage.
Yes, certainly. James is still on his toes, got a lot of class.
It could almost be close enough to be scored a draw. The loser is going to feel very hard done by.
I think a big punch from either of the two now really will decide it, I think.
But these rounds, the last two or three, have been pretty close things. And it's going to be a question of whether the quality of Oyebola or the superior busyness of the Welshman is going to get it. Can't be more than a round in it, though. And Gerrard mounts another determined attack.
As you said, Jim, I think James really has improved almost 75% since the last time we fought. He's keeping his hands up and his guard, and he's also on his toes. I think he's done very well. He's worked very, very hard for this, as I'll bear witness. So win or lose, I think we can say it's a successful night.
Yes, but you know this boxing game, a bit like your game, you don't really get a good defeat.
No, you don't. But as I said before, I'm very biased.
Just a minute to go to the end of the contest. And certainly Oyebola hasn't been psyched out in this fight like he was on his debut. He's learnt a lot temperamentally since then.
Yes, yeah, it's going to be a great finish. It's going to be a great finish.
And although he's showing a few signs of fatigue, I think he's paced himself a lot better too. But Gerrard, this tank of a man who has messed around the best.
I think it would be fair to say this is probably, Gerrard is probably one of the best opponents that James has been in with. A real test for him.
And Gerrard, right until the last second, continuing what he's done since the opening bell, to attack. And we'll see if he's done enough to get the verdict, as Oyebola counter-attacks well. And, yeah, well, I thought he might do that. Referee Jack Snipe has called it a draw. So both men can feel satisfied. with a night's work.
I think that's a very fair result.
Yes, I think we all go along with that, and I wonder if it's an omen for John Fashanu, whether he'd settle for a draw against Liverpool on Saturday and a replay on Thursday. I think he'd sooner win outright.